So thanks Zebra. Thank you for everybody for coming here. And really nice to be in Prague, one of my favorite cities around in Europe. Not only for the beer, but also of course for the nice architecture and a nice feeling here. So I've been working in enterprise computing for the last 20 years, both with Oracle, then with Symbol, Motorola Solutions, startup myself in the mobility space, and now with Microsoft. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit what we're doing in the space, give you an update. I think we owe many of you an update. What's Microsoft doing? Where are we going? And how do we fit into the market? See, this is also the last presentation of the day. I will have lots of customer examples. Try to visualize what our customers are going through. It's lots of transformation. In Microsoft, we call it digital transformation. Everything's going on in Microsoft now is about digital transformation, linking what's happening out in the field, of course, to the cloud. For us, big vendors, cloud is the key for the future. But of course, we need together take our customers to the next generation technology for handhelds, for devices, but link it into what's happening in the cloud and so on. So we'll give you some examples there. So our CIO, he's like myself, he's really committed to mobility. And I think you have seen lots of the commitments he have done to the mobility space. I mean, today we are really an open company. We are embracing all kind of devices. At Build conference that was some weeks ago, we even have this slide, we love devices. We know there is Android devices out there, lots of iOS devices out there, lots of different devices. And that's the reality of today. And all the customers I meet, they have this strategy of bring your own device, choose your own device. It will be a mix of number of devices. Especially when we're now going live with IoT. As you will see, it's sensors, it's the cloud, all kind of devices, glasses. So it's important to take the best of what you can find from different vendors, but of course have a strategy how you can link it into your company strategy and the strategy of your customers. So digital transformation is going on. So I will not point out more details on this one. But when I saw all the presentations earlier today, I was thinking back, okay, this is a flashback for me, like almost 15 years back. Then I was selling CRM solution, and then the keyword was closed loop. Closed loop CRM. You should look at the customer and do a closed loop. Look from all angles of your customer. You get the service request, you handle it, you close it down, and then you start over again. Selling, servicing, marketing, closed loop. And to be honest, we are there today. Closed loop. Mobility, you capturing data out in the field. You do some business analytics on it, some artificial intelligence. You pushing out work in the field, and then you start over again. In all kind of processes, sales, service, marketing, whatever. So I think closed loop is there, mobility and cloud is really here to stay. So I want to highlight it from customer points of view. And Jack brought up Coca-Cola. Nice story what they're doing with digital signage. I've also been working with Coca-Cola a lot, all over the world in fact, and they're using our devices to do the classical, the DSD, delivery, direct store and delivery. But they have also taken it to the next level by connecting the IoT data of the vending machines, reading it over the air, and then they know when they need to go and visit some machines. They can also capture in statistics over RFID by tapping the device to the vending machine to get some statistics what's been happening out in the field. So this is the kind of examples we want to have. And of course it's really about linking it to the customers and what's happening out in the field. So it's been a long story. And to be honest, I want to excuse from Microsoft's point of view, because I think we have not been clear with partners and with you as developers, what's happening around mobility, what's happening around Windows handheld, what's happening about Windows 6.5 and so on. But what we have done lots of cleaning work as Microsoft. We have now merged it into one operating system, Windows 10. We have core APIs that you can use as a developer, and you will see that later on live. We have the roadmap of delivering what we called Windows 10, the last Windows. Of course, it will not be the last Windows. Maybe the last, we will call it Windows 10. But of course, with different versions. And now we have a strong commitment to the enterprises to deliver what we call current branch for business for 2 years. And then we have a rolling schema of supporting Windows. And that's including the IoT devices, including handheld, including what we deliver on HoloLens, including what we deliver out on sensors. So everything now is in sync. But of course now we need to win you back as developers. We need to win back our hardware partners. That this is a strong story moving forward, especially in the handheld space, I would say. So Windows IoT, what's all about? Yeah, it's about productive out there, because we all want to achieve more, and that's our mantra for Microsoft. So then we want to link in, of course, the really specific processes in the industry, but also more things. Okay, what can you do with Office 365? What can you do with all kind of ERP solutions, CRM solutions, and so on? Trusted. We heard Joe talking a lot about security. That's a key feature for us. I was down in Middle East 1 week ago, and lots of hacking going on there. And nobody wants to be the first, for instance, in the airline industry to be hacked, an aircraft being hacked or something like that. Hacking going on everywhere, in Europe, Middle East, US, Asia, everywhere. So security is top of mind of all customers, and we take that really, really seriously. Then it's connected. Connectivity nowadays is not about connecting with your LTE modem in a device now and then. The new devices that are coming out will be connected all the time. You don't need to bother. It will be a low power connectivity, and you get the connectivity that you have, and it will be connected in the background pretty much all the time. So just we have some confusing names when it's come to different versions of our IoT offering. So in the middle here you can see IoT mobile, Windows 10 IoT mobile, and that's what we support on our partner devices when it comes to handheld. But it's also important to point out that this kind of operating system, a part of the operating system, we are also nowadays as Microsoft eating our own dog food. So if you look on, for instance, HoloLens. HoloLens is running Windows IoT Core. If you're looking on Surface Hub, I don't know if you have seen that, this big whiteboard collaboration application, that's running IoT Enterprise, and so on. So now, when Microsoft have jumped into the hardware space with some specific applications, then we also, of course, need to use our own part of the operating system, and we're using the same versions as you for our hardware offerings. So I think that's a good sign, and it's of course a strong commitment to you as a developers when you're looking at investment in Windows 10 from partners. So yeah, here you can see some examples of our own product lineup that we have today. So I mean, you have seen lots of things what's happening around augmented reality. I really encourage you, go on YouTube, put in HoloLens, and you can see what ThyssenKrupp have done of creating new elevators. You can see what Japan Airlines is doing by educating the pilots in the cockpit by augmented reality. And this is things that we have been working on now for 3 years, together with our enterprise customers. This is live today. I was in Vienna yesterday with an airline event, and we could show the airlines how they can look on Helsinki airport, building up at the table, and they could see an airport control center with HoloLens. So these kind of things are already live today with our customers. But of course, I want to highlight a little bit extra, for instance, what we're doing with Zebra, with the TC55. There are lots of refresh going on now around handhelds, different kind of devices, where we see tablets, handhelds, some consumer devices. There will be a mix. So it's really important, and the tablet market is growing exceptionally fast. And it's about retail. It's about assisted selling. It's about field service. All the market that we see, and I think you also see, growing extremely fast. So take a look when you're evaluating a different operating system, different solutions, what kind of devices will your customers work? And when you're developing your app, make sure that it's running on all kind of devices, and especially I would say enterprise-grade tablets. That's we're really seeing exploding now when it comes to the volumes. Also, what we announced at the Build conference some weeks ago, and maybe I've seen the press release, and Joe mentioned a little bit what we're doing there, is that we have now a strategic partnership or expanding the partnership and accelerating the partnership we have with Qualcomm and on the Snapdragon processor. And we're having some new devices coming out this fall, in fact. They're already building it in China now, and they will be announced after the summer. More in detail, you will have lots of vendors coming out with new exciting devices. So this will create lots of innovation in the markets. All partners are invited to take a look on this one. The most interesting thing on this one that I see, it will really drive extreme battery life time, low power solution. This is always connected. You have eSIM cards in there. You don't have the classical SIM cards. You have eSIM cards in. They're always connected with all kind of connectivity. So it will really bring the next generation of cloud devices out there. Can be like this is more classical tablet, but you can't. There are lots of innovation going on how it will be used now that you will see coming to market. We also heard from Joe, and we have lots discussed it a lot earlier today. How do you deploy and how do you manage the devices out there? And that's been a crucial thing for us, and we identified that some years ago. So in fact, 2 years ago, we launched a product called EMS, Enterprise Mobility Suite. And that's, we took our Intune offering and combined it with Azure Rights Management, and then also combined it with Azure Active Directory. So we added on and took a step further, and then a step in the evolution when it's come to device management, and not just looking at device management. You can now manage the data protection. Many finance companies, banks, if they send out a document, or a pharma company, if they send out a document, they need to track what's happening with this document. Who can forward it? Who can print it? It can't go outside the organization. So that's really important also, and that we have included in the EMS suite. At the same with identity management. If you're starting to control your security, yeah, where is your management of your users? So this, in fact, is the fastest growing product in the Microsoft history, and it was highlighted in our latest financial results. It's exploding, this one. And there's lots of consolidation going on in the market of device management and EMM. Still, we have our product, but it's important to point out, if you're working with SOTI, if you're working with Mobile Iron, if you're working with AirWatch, they can use the same APIs, they use the same capabilities into Windows that we are using internally. So no unfair competition for Microsoft. Our partners can do exactly the same. So I would just say the important thing is use this, make sure that when you're doing your rollout, have a strategy for how to roll it out, support your devices, and as Joe said, keep them up to date. If it's Windows, if it's Android, if it's any other operating system, the key is to keep them up to date from security point of view. So I will give you a little bit more examples also what's going on in cloud. because I think we all agree on that the cloud and mobility and enterprise mobility is really going hand in hand now. What we see from our enterprise customers is that they embrace cloud. And of course, with our data centers that we have all over Europe, all over the world, special data centers in Germany where the data can't leave the country, etc., then our enterprise customers can really jump into the cloud. And it's driving lots of innovation, especially around mobility, where you can do lots out in the field and use the advantage of cloud. Extreme performance and extreme scaling that you can use, dynamic scaling of your CPU capabilities. So here's just some example of our enterprise customers that using our Azure cloud. But I wanted to give you one example of what we're doing with ThyssenKrupp. And I know many of you have been working with many field service deployments, maybe even with some of the elevator companies. I remember when I was with Motorola Solutions, we worked a lot with Kone and so on. And ThyssenKrupp is pretty much taking the next step of field service solutions. So let's take a look on that video.
With 3 billion people moving into the world's cities in the next 3 decades, the world needs tall buildings, and tall buildings need elevators. I'm Dr. Rory Smith with ThyssenKrupp Elevator, a leading global manufacturer. Maintaining over 1.1 million of these machines annually and keeping them running safely and reliably 24/7 is our job one. We wanted to better compete in our industry by offering dramatically increased uptime. So we're taking preventative maintenance a step further to predictive and even preemptive service. We teamed up with Microsoft and CGI to harness the Internet of Things, to collect data by connecting the sensors and systems in each of our elevators to the cloud. Microsoft Azure Intelligent Systems Service draws this data into a central cloud-based dashboard for a real-time view of key performance indicators. And Power BI for Office 365 provides rich data visualization, so we know which cabs need service and when. Microsoft Azure Machine Learning feeds data into dynamic predictive models so that elevators will actually be able to anticipate which repairs they need. Using an app on mobile devices in the field or the dashboard at one of our corporate control centers, all of our technicians see the same real-time information. Now we have the ability to use live data to define a needed repair before a breakdown happens, reducing costs for ourselves and for our customers, raising elevator reliability to new heights. That's the Internet of ThyssenKrupp's things, and it's here right now.
Okay, you could see, I think it's a good example of how they use business analytics, how they use artificial intelligence to doing some decisions, and then push it out in the field. Here you could see the field technicians have some tablets. They also have handheld computers, depending on the regions. So we see often that's in the global rollouts, they mix. Sometimes they have tablets, in some other regions they have a handheld, some other regions they have consumer phones. So that's often what we see with bigger rollouts. So for you, it's also as a developer, we have created many of the tools on the Azure side that you easily can use. So for instance, for the maintenance workflows that you can see ThyssenKrupp is working with, we taking that and make it available for you out of the box, like template workflows. So you can start, you don't need to start from scratch with many of these best practices. So I think that's also really important to quickly become productive. Another story that I want to highlight a little bit more, and especially with you as a developer. Personally, I started as a developer, but I was so bad. I was doing trial and error programming, so I stopped that. But I still admire you a lot, and it's really you that doing the difference out with the customers. And I think one tool that we want to give back to you is Xamarin. So we bought Xamarin, I think it was 1 year ago, since we closed that business. And it's been a great tool for doing cross-development on different operating systems, on different devices. And we're really seeing this escalating now. And we have the classical, traditional Xamarin approach, where you have the base with the C#, and then you're using some platform-specific APIs and so on. And also we have we have added on that with Xamarin Forms, that you can even use some common UI capabilities and shared UI code. So I also have Marcus here from Microsoft, from Dynamics team, and he will share on Friday. He will share what our Microsoft Dynamics team did with our warehouse application and used and built a cross-platform application for Dynamics with help of Xamarin and Xamarin Forms. So if you're interested on that, go to the session on Friday. So it's also good I want to show a little bit what we have done with customers. And one industry where I've personally been working a lot is with airlines. And also airlines is a good example of where we see lots of Zebra devices in there, especially when it's come to ground operations, bag handling, people out in the turnaround operations. I'm flying a lot with EasyJet, where I'm living in Geneva, lots of flights there. And there they board. They have the Zebra devices, and then they do speedy boarding, just scanning the barcodes, and can turn around the flights now, I think, in 35 minutes, where you calculate for doing a turnaround of the flight. So lots of benefits there with mobility. But I also wanted to share with you another airline that we've been working a lot with, and what they have been doing with the Xamarin. And it's really interesting because that's one of the flagship customers for using iPads. So take a look on what we have done with them together with Xamarin.
British Airways, it's one of the best known brands in aviation. We have about 40,000 employees, but they can be quite a difficult bunch of people to reach.
We had our new CEO come in, Alex Cruz, and he wanted to make sure he could get his message across to everyone wherever they were.
All of the information was spread across multiple different sources.
They've had to use a number of logins. We had a number of senior employees who do have British Airways issued equipment, but the vast majority of them don't have those. We wanted to make a level playing field in that sort of sense, and creating the app is the platform to do that.
Many of our apps in the recent past have been built on the iOS platform as a default platform, but we've had trouble moving it to other platforms.
We used Microsoft Visual Studio 2017 to develop a Xamarin Forms app that gives us 95% code reuse across all of the platforms that we were targeting, which was iOS, Android and Windows Phone. Visual Studio Team Services and Xamarin Test Cloud particularly allowed us to iterate quickly through several releases of the application because we were able to check as we went along that our tests were still passing and the product was still robust enough to deploy, and we were able to add extra features quickly without worrying about lengthy regression tests. For our back-end services, we use Azure Application Services and also Azure SQL Database to provide the data resources to the application and to provide integration with our other back-end systems. To achieve single sign-in for the application, we have federated across from Azure Active Directory to our Oracle Access Management.
And that was fantastic. That was the equivalent of putting a very old car on the moon.
It feels like a great achievement to know that they're finding a better experience.
It's working really well for us, and we hope that this is the beginning of a very fruitful relationship.
Okay, so with that, I just want to encourage you. Take another look on what you can get on the Windows 10 devices. Take a look on what you can do when they are connected into the cloud and all the business processes and all the tools we have there. And of course, whatever platform you use, make sure that you review your security and make sure that you can stay current with the customers. So with that, I promised to not run over, and I promised to buy beer for every minute I was running over. So if you have any urgent questions, I can take one or two. Otherwise, we will take them over a beer in a bar. Okay.